Getting ready to get started here. Getting ready in 3, 2, 1. What's up? Hey, everybody. It's Steve of Real Progressives. Tonight, Ellis couldn't make it. Ellis is in transit. But tomorrow's a big day. And so rather than just kind of take a night off, I wanted to be able to come and talk to everybody because I'm very, very excited about tomorrow. For those of you who do not know, there is a Medicare for All rally across the nation, but in particular, there will be a large following in Washington, D.C. I will be sharing the stage with none other than Nina Turner, Ro Khanna, Margaret Flowers, and John Conyers, amongst other organizers who are there. I'm extremely excited about this opportunity because, as you all know, I am going to talk about a bigger picture than just Medicare for All. I'm going to explain to folks about how we've allowed ourselves to get to the point where we are, and I'm going to try and make folks start thinking big. I want folks to think big, big, big. See the big picture, the big opportunities that are there for us instead of downplaying it. And one of the things that really, really came to mind, you know, if you think about this, every single person that pushes back against the things that we've been fighting for, every single one of them, ironically, is in bed with things like the IMF. They're in bed with all the people that basically, the troika, that are squeezing Greece. The folks that push back and talk about debt and deficits and stuff like that are the very people that push Bill Mitchell's new book that he talked about on the air the other day. And I'm not going to tell you too much about it other than to say that Bill Mitchell describes neoliberalism in a way that I am just completely overwhelmed by. Like, my jaw is dropping every page I read of this thing. I'm very, very excited to be able to look at it in advance. Can't wait for it to come out and be published so you all can read it too. And believe me, you do not want to miss this book. This is talking about what a progressive world looks like post-neoliberalism, okay? And it's not just talking about the United States. It's talking about a progressive future for the world, okay? We're talking about a global understanding of what neoliberalism is, because neoliberalism is basically saying there are no more boundaries. It is now corporate-owned global entities controlling things, moving money back and forth, and literally privatizing everything and pushing all of our needs into that private debt. So we are completely and utterly beholden to corporations, and our governments have rendered themselves weak and useless by not leveraging the fiscal authority that they have. So it's basically looking at creating a new nationalism within an understanding of a global community of global citizens. And it really is powerful. But this brings me to the next point. As much as I try to be entertaining, I try to throw jabs out there, I try and kick around the trolls a little bit just to kind of let you all know that this is not just some academic exercise. I want to have a moment of honesty here. I really want to take a step back and talk to you all about something very important. Modern monetary theory is been around for a long time, actually. It really has been around for quite some time. There's been very few major switches in the way we view economics in the last however many years. But you had the monetarists come in the 70s. And you had, of course, Keynesianism going way back, which was kind of a compromise, was saying, okay, capitalists, I see how you guys are, so we've got to find a way to build in some humanity into the system. And that's what we get, you know, with Keynes, right? Keynes showed us counter-cyclical operations, etc. But here you go into the new age, into the new future, where we're living in a modern money economy based on a free-floating fiat regime like places like Japan and others have. And we have allowed the neoliberal mindset to warp our every condition. Everything that we think about, everything that we do has been tainted with the taint of neoliberalism. So it's no mistake. It's no, no mystery why so many of us have very, very faulty, mistaken logic about things. We have bought, not because we're bad people, not because we're idiots, even though I say that stuff, it's really just to give you a punch of truth to wake you up, because this is not easy stuff to grok. And when you don't grok, when you grok fail economics, you start saying a lot of other things. So think about this. I want you to get the picture so you understand why this honest moment is so important. You may be for food stamps. You may want to expand them. You may want to see impoverished people have heating and electricity help, oil help, whatever help, heat help. You might want to see them get free college and so forth. That's the welfare state, right? We're helping these poors down here that are just not ne'er-do-goods. We're helping them. They've hit hard times, whatever. So we're going to give them a little pick-me-up, right? But here's the thing. The reason why they need these pick-me-ups is because of built-in austerity, built into the system screwing up, built-in and intentional unemployment, okay? So all this stuff is going on, and we just accept it as the way it is. I mean, I've got family members who genuinely are angry at me, thinking I'm a stinky, bloody socialist and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, they've got a lot of things that they just don't, it's like, wow, man, what happened to my son, or what happened to my brother, or what happened? They genuinely are like freaked out. They're like, he's a Bolshevik, he's whatever. And it's like, no, friends and folks and family. No, that's not it. Once you understand the base of the monetary system, all of the things you've thrown at me, well, I don't want my taxes paying for abortions. I don't want my taxes paying for your Obama phone. I don't want my taxes paying for her to buy beer with her food stamps. Why are you getting crab meat with your food stamps? On and on and on and on. All the things you hear, right? These things that are right-wing talking points. Well, what do you want? Just free everything? What, do you don't believe in hard work? All the stuff that you've heard all these years. It's all founded from a scarcity principle based on them continuously and intentionally shrinking the amount of money into our circulation to prevent us from being able to lead lives that are fulfilled. They want us hungry. They want us starving. They want us desperate so that they can hire us on the cheap. Okay? This is this is absolutely a gift to the businessman, to the capitalist, as they say. Okay, this is not capitalism. This is the conflation of state and corporation. This is true corporatism. Okay, AKA fascism. We are right there at a fascist state. And the problem is that once you understand that the state is the currency issuer, it fundamentally changes how you view politics. It fundamentally changes how you view programs. And it fundamentally changes, well, why do we need welfare? Why aren't we giving citizen benefits so that there just is no destitution? We can do that. It needs to start making sense to you, because once that little sliver of understanding kicks in, it informs every other step through the process. My friends, I dare say that it's very, very hard to be a right-winger once you understand that taxes don't fund spending. Once you understand that federal taxes do not fund spending, once you understand that real inflationary conditions don't occur until you hit full employment and you're a net exporter, quite frankly, once you understand that you can't get to that point until you hit that magic number of full employment, not kind of like sort of this crazy stuff. I'm talking about full employment. Once you get there, then you've got some things to consider. So this changes everything, doesn't it? This changes everything. Job creators, all this other stuff. Fact of the matter is, friends, when the government spends money into the economy, the job creators are aplenty. When the government stops spending money into the economy, The job creators stop making quality jobs. They stop being able to afford it because there's just not enough cash circulating. And once it pulls at the top, there's just not enough incentive for them to spend it back into the economy. Okay? So you can sit there and go after them for taxing it, but remember, taxes destroy currency. They literally destroy it. Once the tax is paid, it's terminated, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. But this is not by mistake that they do this. They do this because if they stop the federal government from spending, that means the only place that we can get relief is going to a bank or going to Wall Street or going somewhere to get a loan to finance our existence. Another handout to Wall Street. This is the neoliberal plan. This is the neoliberal agenda. Austerity is a key component of this. Extreme identity politics and tokenism are a brand of neoliberalism. It keeps the class warfare divided because this is class warfare. This is literally the sliver, this 1%, and then the rest of us against, and they've convinced the rest of us that we're all supposed to be at each other, that we're eating each other's lunch. They've convinced us that we've got to fight the poor black kid over there and the poor gay guy over there and the poor Muslim over here, the poor Mexican over there. They've convinced us that it's got to be somebody's fault. Couldn't possibly be way up there. Couldn't possibly be. But here's the thing. They get away with it for one reason and one reason only. Because you and I believe it. Because you and I believe it. You know? Because we don't have the conviction to be able to say, this doesn't make sense. So you see a lot of people will pull out these memes that'll say, hey, how come we can afford to give Israel help? How come we can afford to bomb the world? How can we afford to do all these things, but we cannot afford to take care of our own people? We can't take care of our own veterans. What? That doesn't make sense, does it? You know, we salute the flag. We have all these flags waving up and down the roadways, go down friggin' town halls. And you see flags on every building, flags everywhere, red, white, and blue running supreme. But the reality is our government is intentionally keeping us down because it serves the needs of the capitalist. It serves the needs of the businessman. You and I, if we have options, we won't just take whatever the businessman throws at us. But as it stands right now, if you've ever been unemployed, if you've ever been walked off the premises when your contract ended, if you have ever experienced a significant loss in employment, you know what it's like to job search when the economy is in the toilet. You know what it's like if you live through the great financial, the great financial crisis. You know what it's like. It's brutal. People die. People hang themselves. People kill themselves. People kill other people. It's not like some sort of hyperbole. It's not a joke. I mean, this is the stuff that neoliberalism does. Now, I will tell you this, as somebody who cares immensely for this movement and somebody who cares immensely for everyone, including the people that talk shit about me. If we don't get this under wraps, if we don't figure this out, if we don't go with an understanding of what our real financial situation is and our real economy is and our real monetary system is versus what the conspiracies say, if we allow the conspiracy-minded people to run us ragged, we will never unite behind a common cause. And that common cause should be the New Deal platform that Bernie Sanders put forward and Jill Stein put forward. And if you want to scratch something or you don't like one piece of this and you want to add one piece of that, I think we all can agree to disagree. But for the most part, that platform is very, very robust. And it's what we need as a nation and as the world. And you realize that neoliberalism is a global phenomenon. You can't defeat it in the USA alone. You have to defeat it globally. So that should change your perspective as well. So when you hear the next wave of progressives coming forward, if they don't understand MMT, no matter how nice a person they are going to literally do the fallback method into neoliberal economics. Tomorrow is very frightening to me because I'm going to hear people like Ro Khanna. I'm going to hear people like Margaret Flowers. I'm going to hear people like John Conyers. And I'm going to hear probably Nina Turner talking about people paying into it, this, that, and the other. You're not going to hear me do that. But I'm not Nina Turner or Ro Khanna or any of the others. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed that people listen. Because I'm telling you right now, even with these people that we love and care about, even with these great leaders, they're very flawed in their economic thinking. And we need to change that or we all die. We all have problems because I'm telling you, the environment, we got stuff going on, folks. We got stuff going on. A 1 trillion ton piece of ice broke off of Antarctica because of the way that the heating is going on, the global heat. And I'm telling you right now, folks, that should scare you into action, but it doesn't. Most people are still going to watch some other show on TV and move on with their life or bitch about this person or that person or something else. But I'm here to tell you, this is a very serious business. As you go into 2018, you ask these politicians, every one of them, your local politicians, if they are MMT, if they understand MMT, if they understand that we have a sovereign fiat currency and that we can never go broke, if they believe that taxes pay for stuff at the federal level. And you need to blow the horn and you need to tell real progressives, hey guys, we've got a Congress critter running for office that believes our hard-earned tax dollars are going here and there and the other. And we will bring an army out there and we will tackle that person one at a time. Because we cannot allow them. Our lives are in jeopardy, folks. Our lives are on the line. Folks, the bathtub of our economy shrinks every time we remove taxes from it. Because taxes are deleted. Remember this. This is not hyperbole. This is truth. This is the way it is. Taxes do not get recycled. Your taxes are digital. They come in. Once they've been received, they're destroyed and they're gone. So we need to have people stop telling us that we need those dollars taken from our accounts to pay for stuff because it's not true and it hurts the economy. It's not a matter of cutting something here or cutting something there. Our spending levels are nowhere near what they need to be. So we need to shift money around, but we cannot afford to cut anything. If money's in the military and you don't like that, you need to find a way to shift that somewhere else, but not cut things. It's very, very important to understand. Our money that goes in there doesn't know where it's being spent. It just knows it's this high up in the bathtub. If you cut spending, no matter what you think, if you don't realize this, this is a wake-up call for you. Any cuts in spending take water out of the bathtub. Doesn't matter if it's good spending or bad spending. So we need to make sure the spending we do is high priority, high quality for the 99% for peace, love, and planet. Okay? We're talking about quality New Deal spending. But if you guys don't understand that our country can never go broke, you're going to think with very small minds and very, very small ideas, and you're going to be afraid to embrace a massive progressive agenda that will save our planet, save our kids' lives, and make life bearable. We're at a point right now where we need everybody to get a hold of this. You need to understand this. Those people on the stage tomorrow will need to understand this. Bernie Sanders should know this. He has had Stephanie Kelton with him for a long time. Now, for those people who say I'm crazy or that I'm wrong, for those people that have that opinion, let me just say this. Ask them, how do you plan on giving me student debt relief, eradicating student loans? How do you plan on giving me simultaneously, not in 40 years, at the same time, Medicare for all? Or better, health care as a right, period. How do you plan on giving me a full-blown infrastructure deal at the same time?
And I serve on the committee of the North Carolina Platform and Resolutions.
How do you plan on giving me a federal job guarantee
Instead, it was
at the same time? How do you plan on giving me paid family and medical leave?
I'm sorry, but he doesn't do what I do. He's not an activist.
At the same time.
He's an attorney. I'm an activist.
How do you plan on doing that?
Be up there, helping bring
taxes are deleted, so raising taxes, this, that, and the other. Tell me again how that's going to pay for all that.
But that's not what happens, because a lot of things don't happen for life. You know why they don't happen for life?
Tell me again how you're going to get green energy and retrofit every smokestack in America and around the world for all I care. Tell me how you're going to do that, and you're going to get us hydropower, hydroelectric, or wind power, solar, and convert everything over. Tell me how you're going to do that.
So it's
I can tell you we can do that with MMT. Right now, Joe Firestone estimated we've got roughly $1.7 trillion in policy space that we're not using, and that's annually. $1.7 trillion annually. Without raising any taxes to offset it right now. $1.7 trillion.
People demanding action and hope, which will be talked about by Margaret Flowers. These are the groups you need to listen to. Not the media. The sound bites are going to steer you wrong. Get on the ground, learn, find out what you can do. Be members of these progressive groups. And one thing that I wanted to do, and I got to do quickly, is that we are going to be collaborating with Millions Marching. People Demanding is already going to be collaborating, and we're already going to be collaborating with a group called Business Leaders Transforming Healthcare. And I talked to Andrea Miller, our national head today, and we're also most likely going to be collaborating with the American Sustainable Business Council. And we're going to collaborate to get out this wonderful it. Please print them out, give them to your friends, because we need to get this movie everywhere. Now, I want to end with a prayer. I got to find it, so for just a second. So I'm gonna end with a prayer because it's really, really important. I had a lot of ideas to have you chant a lot, but you know, I run out of time, as we all do, because there's so much to say. And I didn't use my notes, as I never do, but here we go. So I'm asking all people of all faiths to pray or meditate for strength, courage, peace, and protection for all of us. That means you, all of us that are working to get the people's demands met as we continue together in this struggle for universal access to health care. I also need you to meditate for continued opportunities for people of all faiths to use our strong voices and our loving hearts, and for each of us to find and fulfill our purpose here on earth. Pray for the people's revolution and for those of us working in it to provide the needs of all people. Please feel our gratitude. The people's revolution is growing ever stronger day by day as millions are marching not only for universal access to health care, but ultimately for complete social, economic, environmental, and criminal justice reform. Remember, faith without works is dead. Remember, faith without works is dead. I have great faith that by the time I turn 65, in, let's see, 6 years, then we will all have Medicare for all, not just me. So I'm praying that that's going to happen sooner than later. And one of the things I told my husband was the day on November 9th, as I was railing and I was crying about all the programs that were in danger. I railed and I cried all day. I had people call me and ask me for interviews. I said, I can't do an interview. I'll send you a short quote. But at the end of the day, I told my husband, the only bright spot I saw was that we might get single-payer health care sooner rather than later. I believe that that is very, very true. Yes, some people
a few years ago in Fort Collins, Colorado. My sister introduced us, and my sister was a real activist for anti-fracking and single-payer health care. Those were her two passions. My sister died 2 years ago. Entire care movement. She has laid the groundwork for and is continuing daily to fight for Medicare for all. So please help me welcome Dr. Margaret Flowers.
All right, how's everybody doing? You guys are the stalwarts. You're the leaders of this movement because you came out on this day to be here. So I really appreciate you being here. And I understand that Congressman Ro Khanna has just arrived and that he needs to get back to work, I'm assuming. I hope that's what he's going to do. So while James is here, I just want to make an announcement and then I'll speak after he does. But if you haven't noticed yet or realized, there's a group of people up on Constitution Avenue. That's the main road over here in front of the Russell Senate office building. And this is a group called ADAPT. It's a disabilities rights group. And they came out last night to occupy the front of the Senate Russell Building. Right, to history of Medicare and Medicaid. And a couple of interesting things about that. One is that Medicare is not often recognized, but it was a tool in 1965 to desegregate our hospitals. There have been efforts leading up to that to try to desegregate, and there was no enforcement mechanism. But under Medicare, hospitals couldn't get their public dollars unless they were desegregated. So the civil rights movement made sure that they had activists in all of the hospitals keeping an eye on whether the hospitals were actually complying with law. And in 6 months, they desegregated 6,000 hospitals. And if you don't understand the significance of what that means, so many people died because they showed up to a hospital that either was a white-only hospital or didn't have enough beds, and they died en route because they were turned away from care. This was happening even into the 1960s. So that's a very significant event. And Medicare was meant to be a universal system. The intention when they passed it was to make it universal. But we can thank a Dixiecrat, Wilbur Mills, for putting a poison pill in and preventing that. So this fight, this desire for a national improved Medicare for all has been going on for a long time. And what I can tell you as somebody who's been fighting for it is that we are in a unique moment. The attempt to tweak the current system with the Affordable Care Act failed because they were based upon a fundamentally flawed system that treats healthcare as a commodity. The Congress did the best they could do in this system to try to make universal coverage and realize that it is not possible. So the beauty of that is that people in the United States get it. We don't want to fix the current system that we're in. It's not a fair system. It's not based on healthcare as a human right or healthcare as a public service. And it's not working. People now are saying, stop the Republican plan, but bypass fixing the ACA and go straight to national improved Medicare for all. That is to be our message. I'll take time to then if you want, I'll be happy to say a few more words.
It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Representative Rokana, an American lawyer and a politician serving the 17th Democratic Congressional District in California as a Democrat. By the way, I didn't see that. District entirely Democratic. Anyway, he is also, and I love this, he's a Democrat champion. Please welcome Representative Rokana.
Thank you so much, for inviting me. Thank you for your leadership. Tweeted at me, telling me about this and so on. Invited me. And thank you, Dr. Flowers, for your leadership on Medicare for All and making a case. It's brave of you to withstand the Washington heat and be out here. I really want to thank you for doing that. A lot of times, in Congress, people say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't do rallies and tweeting and visiting. Let me tell you. have Medicare for all, you're not only going to do the moral thing of covering everyone, you're going to reduce the extraordinary costs on our system. And that's going to be helpful for small businesses, for companies. One of the biggest things, I represent Silicon Valley, and if you ask folks, why are you moving offshore? What do you think it take to keep jobs in the United States? They'll tell you one of the biggest disadvantages they face is the cost of health care. Other countries subsidize the health care, and they don't put those costs on small businesses. If we want manufacturing to stay in the United States, we've got to lift the burden of healthcare costs for manufacturing companies. If we want to be helpful to small businesses, it's not enough to say, let's have a rhetoric of talking about small businesses. Let's make sure we're dealing with the biggest cost on small business, which is the insurance premiums they have to face. I've gone and talked to tons of small businesses. Let me tell you, they don't say, I want a tax cut. They usually say, how do we get deal with this extra cost of health care that is hurting our competitiveness? As Democrats, we need to make the economic argument for Medicare for all. The other argument we should make is the freedom that will have people to do the jobs that they want. How many folks here have heard of a friend or someone who is afraid to leave their job because they're afraid to lose their health care? You know, all the time you hear about Republicans saying entrepreneurship, let more people become entrepreneurs. And there's a study of how millennials are becoming less entrepreneurial by statistics than previous generations. Less likely to start small businesses. Well, you wonder why. Well, because they've got all this debt from college. They're concerned about their health care. Are you going to go take a risk and start a small business if you don't know where your health care is going to come from? Of course not. But how do we encourage more entrepreneurship in this country? We do it by making sure everyone has basic health care. And we'll see more people taking risks and doing the types of jobs they want. The final thing we've got to point out is that Donald Trump actually campaigned on single payer. I recommend his book. Go read America We Deserve. He wrote it in 2000. And he wrote in that book that the Canadian system is more cost efficient, has better benefits, and has healthier outcomes. Donald Trump was before a single payer system, before he was against it. Because he knows that the only way you get better coverage, lower costs, and better benefits is through Medicare for all. So we need to make sure that we understand we are on the winning side of this issue. Poll after poll shows this is not a Democrat issue, it's not an independent issue. There are Republicans who are for this. This is a common sense issue. And the groups that are opposed to it are the pharmaceutical lobby, the hospital lobby, the insurance lobby, who have a vested stake